Welcome back to Blockchain Pill. My name is Alex, and today our guest on the podcast is Nicholas O'Neill, the founder of the ICP-based decentralized blogging platform Nuance. And we will learn more about the platform, about the process of decentralizing through the ICP SNS platform, how they plan to get new users to the platform, and a lot of other stuff. So without further ado, Nick, welcome to the podcast. It's really a pleasure to have you back here on the podcast. First of all, congratulations for a successful SNS launch, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
Before we start and we talk about about Nuance and about the SNS launch and about everything else that I want us to talk about today, I want to start with two terms that we keep using in our ecosystem and in the crypto space in general. We talk about Web3. And then we talk about DAOs, and people mostly outside of the crypto space, they have no idea what this is. And I would like if you could tell our users what those two things are.
From my point of view, of course. So Web3, I think it was A16Z, the Chris guy who I read it from first, but I know he didn't come up with it, I don't think. But the way I look at it is Web 1 is read, Web 2 is write, and Web 3 is own. And what that means is the first incarnation of the internet, there was, so Web 1, this was where it was a lot of centrally, top-down kind of content produced, and then we as internet users would consume that content. Then Web 2 came along, which really introduced user-generated content, so the Facebooks, the YouTubes, all those kinds of things, where the content itself was coming bottom up from the users. What that brought in was a very much a centralized, was the centralization of the internet from the point of view that because it was advertising driven, right? There was this, winner takes all kind of mindset, and that led to, the superpowers we have now with the monopolies we have in Silicon Valley. And what Web3 is about taking that, taking the internet back to the people and allowing people to own their content. And where this overlaps a little bit with the DAO term, the decentralized autonomous organization, is that it's not just about owning the content; it's about owning the platform itself. So when you have tokenized governance, the users they own and therefore govern the platform upon which they create and consume content. So for me, Web3 is really about. I always say, like I've replied to so many tweets on this. Like Web3 is about taking the internet back from the monopolies in the valley.
So giving the power back to the people, like from the big institutions, and giving the power, taking it and giving it back to the people.
Yeah, the people who create the value, right? The content creators who create the value, they're the ones that should run and own the platforms.
Yeah. So right now, if you have an account on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere else, you do not own the account. You do not own your followers, your videos, anything you post there. It belongs to the company, right? Not to
Correct,
to yourself.
I mean, that's what that's what is referred to is platform risk, right? We've seen it time and time again where people will spend years building up followers or whatever, developing something, and then the company changes the rules. And then but I've spent all this time building up my followers, and now you've changed things, and I don't want to be here anymore, but I can't leave because I'm locked in. So where Web3 overcomes that, of course, is the community governance. So, of course, there can still be decisions made that you don't agree with, but at least you have the opportunity to participate in that decision.
Let's talk about how you guys at Nuance are fighting this decentralization battle, and how you managed to decentralize Nuance and become one of the 10 or 11, I think there is now, SNS DAOs on the Internet Computer Protocol.
We just followed the regular SNS playbook, I suppose. So we've been building actually since before Genesis, more than I think maybe 3 years. And then, of course, the whole SNS capability came up, and that was spoken about from the very beginning, and we've always been very keen to do that. So we just one of the things where we were a bit late, because we were actually thinking we were ready almost before OpenChat, before the first one, but we had some issues that we didn't want to. We wanted to deal with when I say issues, I mean from a product point of view that we wanted to overcome before we became a DAO. So that was basically a bunch of tech debt. So we had like some scaling issues, and we had some security. We hadn't done an audit and stuff like that. So what we didn't want to do was like, okay, we're now a DAO, and for the first 6 months, we're doing stuff under the hood that no user is going to really appreciate because it's all under the hood that no one sees. So one of our decisions was that we really wanted to make sure that when we became a DAO, right, there was very little tech debt. We are ready to keep building features. So that's kind of what we did, and that took some time because, of course, that was an enormous amount of work that we needed to do. That was funded through our investors and through some grants that we got from the Dfinity Foundation. And that work is now, all completed and behind us. So now we can focus on really, the stuff that the users can touch.
For the people who have not watched the previous episode when you were here on the podcast, what is Nuance? What can people do on Nuance, and what are the benefits of using the Nuance platform as opposed to a Web 2 alternative?
Nuance is a blogging platform, or more broadly, a long-form content platform. Long-form just meaning more than 800 words, let's say, around that. So like Medium or Ghost or one of these other platforms. The big advantage that we think we have with Web3 being Nuance built on blockchain is that the big one, of course, is allowing writers to form a direct financial relationship with their readers without the platform risk that I mentioned before. So this is okay. I can form a direct financial relationship. So we have a few monetization features, and we're building out more. And this allows the writers to basically get revenue directly from their readers. And of course, as I mentioned before, because it's community governed, we can't say, for example, we have a tipping ratio or something like that. Now that we set that initially, but of course that's decided by the community. So the community can decide on, if the platform, for example, has funds in the treasury, right, that it's got from tipping or whatever, how to distribute those funds. Should we give more to writers? Should we build more features or whatever? So that's what I mean about the community governance and the community deciding what to do and how to operate.
So basically, every update that you guys are now doing to the platform, it has to go through the DAO, and people have to agree to change it or not, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So we did our first proposal a few days after after our SNS, and we proposed, and that roadmap was, that was already our roadmap, right? We already had done our user research and we understood what the users wanted, or at least we think. So we did our first proposal, which was two key features, which was we wanted to add commenting to the platform, and we also wanted to add a tipping feature. So we already have a feature where the readers can give applause or little claps to the writers, but that was just I would say it's an MVP of that feature. And what we want to do is what we're doing now actually is making that so it's a tipping feature for real. So when you click the applause button, so when you want to give applaud an article, you're actually transferring funds from your wallet directly to the writer's wallet.
Being in Web3 is like a full-time job. Being a founder in Web3, on the other hand, I think is a crazy job. And I'm curious to find out what a day in the life of a Web3 founder looks like. If you can tell our viewers like how your day goes.
I think I would say there's like a pre and post DAO for the Web3 aspect, and I think what the big difference is, leading up to the SNS and now, I spend probably as much time with lawyers and accountants as I do with designers and engineers. So there's a lot of legal stuff, and the reason for that is because it's new technology, and therefore the legal system it needs to catch up. But that's natural, of course. That's organic, because of course, unless we're innovating and doing stuff, right, there's no need for a legal system to support that, right? So by definition, we have to be ahead of the legal system. Otherwise, the legal system would be making up laws for stuff that doesn't exist. So what that means is that there's a lot of uncertainty. So even things like, so for I'll give you a good example, and maybe there's an easy solution for this, but it requires our lawyers to help us. Is that so? What we do is we have our Dutch company Aiken, right, which is the software development company that is the main contributor to Nuance in the way that Dfinity is to the IC. And we make a proposal to the DAO to do some features, like I mentioned before, right? The community vote that through, it passes. The funds from the treasury then get dispersed to us, to Aiken, right? To our thing, so we can pay our team, and that's all fine, right? But then I have to, from a legal perspective, I have to account where those funds came from. Where did this money come from that we are receiving to do this work? And you would think it would be simple as, well, I just send an invoice to the DAO, right? I just say, okay, the DAO has asked us to do this work. Sure, we made a proposal, but in a Web 2 world, you do RFPs, right? And you do a proposal, and the company says yes, and then they pay you, and it's all very straightforward. But in our case, we can't invoice the DAO because for a invoice to be tax compliant in the Netherlands, it needs to have a physical address of the company who you're invoicing. But of course, the DAO has no physical address, right? It's just a thing. It's a piece of software. And my accountant's first feedback is, oh, okay, you just need to register the DAO as a Dutch company. And I'm like, well, what you just said doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't register a DAO as a company with a physical address in the Netherlands because that means someone owns it, and no one owns it. The community owns it. So it's little things like, how do we account for money we receive from the treasury? How do we put that on our books, basically? So as I said, I mean, maybe there is a listener out there who says, oh, you just need to do X, Y, Z, and well, that could be the case. But the fact that we have to go to, our accountants can't give us a straight answer, right? So we have to go to a specialized accountant or a specialized legal team who can help us figure out how to invoice a DAO. That's something so simple,
No, but that is crazy. Actually, I never thought about it like this. So, because usually if you have like an accountant who's like 80 years old and he's been an accountant since like 1940, and now he hears about this thing like a DAO, and you just send an invoice to the DAO and it sends you money and they have no address. It's like, what are you actually doing here, right? Crazy.
Yeah, so it's really, I mean, that's just one example, and there are other things like, okay, so we got some tokens, of course, from the SNS, from the SNS swap or whatever. They're a utility token. Do we have tax obligations on those? All these kinds of things, right? So there's just a bunch of stuff that we is not, and of course as I said before, like traditional accountants, traditional lawyers, they can't really answer these questions. If you Google it, it's, of course, it's all very jurisdiction specific and stuff like that. So.
Did you reach out to any other founders in the ICP space to ask them like how they do it?
Well, the problem with that is that it's because it's jurisdiction specific, right? Like, because we're pretty tight, say with Mod Club, for example, right? So, but they're based in the US, right? So even and it's the same with our legal team, right? They're very much, this is very much Dutch, because we're a Dutch registered company. It's very much based on the Netherlands law, right? Which is kind of European law, but it can also have differences. So it even though reaching out to other teams does help a little bit, it's not something that we want to make decisions on because of that jurisdiction thing.
Absolutely, and I think if the jurisdiction is too difficult in Netherlands, you can always move somewhere else, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, we've looked at Liechtenstein, I think, and also Malta, but it's to me it just seems so. To move your company somewhere. I mean, I don't know. I need more advice on this, but I would much prefer to do things like, in Holland where I live and do things by the book, because of course legislation can change, right? So to base such a big decision on, okay, well, this country is allowing this, but okay, but what if that changes? So, it's difficult.
Has anything changed like before and after the SNS?
From which perspective do you mean? From the legal perspective, or?
So I'm talking about, are you more stressed? Are you less stressed? Is the amount of work? Yeah. So your life has your life changed? Not in terms of like Lambos or stuff like that. I'm talking about like your life in general.
Yeah, well, we joke about the Lambos in the team, of course. But no, there's no Lambos, not even Matchbox Lambos have been purchased yet. But I think I was saying just before this call that you think there's because there's such a build up, right, to becoming a DAO. Like you're doing all this work. Like I said, we did years of work effectively, and then you're ramping up to the SNS. You're doing marketing, and you're doing all this community kind of involvement, and you're trying to have a successful SNS launch. And then it happens, and then it's exciting, and then the next day you wake up and you're like, oh, hang on, I'm just typing in Slack and I'm creating creating user stories and I'm reviewing designs, and actually nothing really has changed that much, except the fact that I spend more time with with lawyers and accountants. But it is one of those things. It's funny. I was driving to school with my 10-year-old son yesterday, and he was telling me about how he was saying, why on movies do they always have pots of gold on the rainbow? And I said, oh, it's just this thing because because of the way rainbows work, they're at a certain distance. So as you go towards them, they stay the same distance. So the whole thing is that, like, sure, there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but you can never get to the rainbow. And I said, it's kind of a metaphor for life, right? Because, like there is no pot of gold. You need to forget about the pot of gold and just enjoy the rainbow. And I was like, oh yeah, that's so much like the SNS. It's like SNS was this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but in fact, it's not there, right? We just need to enjoy the process. So it's kind of not that much has changed. Of course, we have some engineering differences, right? Because you can't just push stuff to production. You have to do the proposals and stuff like this. So there's a different kind of pipeline and different technical stuff we need to do. And of course, the part around the proposal, right, and stuff like that. But outside of that, it's pretty much business as usual.
Absolutely. And has your team grown? Like, how many people are right now working on Nuance?
No, we haven't grown yet. So we have there's myself doing product management. We have a designer. We have two software engineers and a tech lead, I suppose. You'd call him architect. That's my co-founder Paul, and of course we have two marketing people. So we do want to expand the team a little bit, but we have a very extremely, in my opinion, an extremely effective and efficient team. Because we're so small, we can just pump out the software. It's just amazing. Like, I've worked with many large teams and multiple teams before, and there's so much overhead in trying to get people to align and get in sync, and not break each other's code and all this kind of stuff. So we're extremely efficient, and we might want to add one or two more engineers, but we will do that extremely carefully because we have such harmony in the team that anything that risks that, I'm extremely protective of.
So for the people watching that don't know how an SNS DAO works, it is completely different from the DAOs that we are used with in the crypto space, because the funds that you guys raised when you did the SNS swap are in the DAO's treasury and can only be accessed if somebody proposes to access those funds and everybody else votes to do it. What is the plan with the funds? I've seen some of the teams that they decided to stake some of the funds so that it generates like a sort of passive income. Do you have any such plans with the ICP?
No, not yet. Although I think that was a very good idea, and I think that's one of the big advantages of the SNS, right? Is it's not that's the difference between it and a typical ICO. It's a swap, right? And those funds go to the treasury. So we as the founding team, we don't receive any of those ICP. So I think that's one big advantage of the SNS, because it overcomes that legal hurdle of us getting money directly from the users. So there is that, and our plan for the ICP is basically we want to propose a quarterly roadmap every quarter. So basically, every 3 months, we're going to say, okay, based on user feedback, based on the usage patterns or the behavior patterns of our users, we think this, and this. And how we've kind of framed this is that we kind of have 3 kind of overriding goals, right? One is to their monetization for writers, to make sure that they get paid, fairly. The second one is to be the most trusted platform for long form content. So, to get away from the fake news stuff and all that kind of stuff, which is why we moderate content with Mod Club, for example. We're looking at, we're trying to work with Factive, to have fact checking and stuff like this, right? So the second pillar is most trusted platform for readers, and then the third pillar is around just having an unbelievably good user experience for both readers and writers. So the three pillars: fair monetization for writers, trusted platform for readers, amazing UX, right? These are the three pillars which we base our roadmap on. So, for example, we get a lot of ideas or suggestions or whatever. We say, okay, does this help one of these three pillars? And if it does, and we think it's, if we do the effort versus value kind of comparison, is this something we should propose to the community? So that's what we will do every 3 months. We've done our first one, a month back or whatever it was when we finished the SNS. And that was the commenting, the tipping, as well as improving some of the UX flows. So they all gravitate around those three pillars.
One project that I really like on the Internet Computer Protocol, and I think you will agree, and pretty much everybody loves it, is Dragginz. It's one of my favorite projects.
They're great.
And what I love about them is that they try and use all of the applications in on the Internet Computer Protocol. So they switched from Medium, they switched to Nuance, and then they switched from Discord. They linked it up with Catalyze, I think. And I think they set a very good example on this is what all the projects on the Internet Computer Protocol should do. What do you think about Dragginz?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think they're fantastic. Yeah. I've because they're a publisher on Nuance, right? So I've kind of worked with them. I had user interviews with them to figure out, what are their pain points, and we've actually taken those into our roadmap. So I think, and I think, using the other platforms on the IC is what we need to do. We need to, eat our own dog food, as we say in the product management world. And I mean, Nuance does the same, right? We use Mod Club for content moderation. We use Atomic Marketplace for our NFTs. We use User Geek and Canister Geek for product analytics, and we also use the one, I forget the name of it now, for our NFT governance, for example. So yeah, we try and use as many. Yeah, we have some external services on Nuance, but they're all on the IC. So we kind of also like to do that. We're using OC at the moment a lot for our community, but
OC
we still
meaning, I'm sorry, open chat, right?
Yeah, open chat, yeah. So we still use Discord, but we're noticing we get much more activity on the OC anyway. And our thinking was, we want to keep Discord because then non-IC people can participate. But I've, in the last few days, I've been thinking, well, if people are going to be Nuance users, they need to be IC users. They have to have an internet identity. So if they have an internet identity or something similar, right, they can also be using OC. So So that's our thinking.
The thing is, people will adapt, right? So I was not a Telegram user, but when I found out that crypto was on Telegram, I became a Telegram user. So it really doesn't matter the platform; the people will come and find it. What I love about Nuance is that when you go to the website, you don't realize it is like a crypto project thing, right? So it doesn't strike. It's not like Connect Wallet or stuff. So besides the loading, which is like on Internet Computer because it's hosted there, it's very non-crypto looking. So it looks natural to the people, to the new people watching it. What is the plan to onboard like Web2 people to Nuance?
Yeah, well, your observation is very deliberate from us, right? So we don't, the fact that it's built on blockchain is actually irrelevant to the user. What we want to focus on is the benefits that provides, right? So we don't say it's built on blockchain. We say, hey, you can own the platform on which you write. Like, that's really meaningful. Hang on, I'm writing on Medium. Okay, I sure, from a legal perspective, I maintain the rights of that content, but really it's Medium, right? But I, on Nuance, I can actually, get some utility tokens. I can own utility tokens just by writing. I don't even have to buy them. And then I can participate in the governance. So I think we try and focus on the benefits rather than the technology. And our plan to get new users or for growth is we have as I mentioned before, 2 marketing people. We have marketing and sales. So our plan really is to really push. We're kind of we've defined our personas and stuff like that. We know who our targets are, and we're basically going after them. So we're going to be targeting like writers from other platforms like Medium, for example, and reaching out to them directly and saying, hey, look, you can have a direct financial relationship with your readers with without the platform risk. But you make the rules. If you don't like the rules, you can propose and then change them. And if the community agrees, then they're changed, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. So I think that's kind of how we're addressing it. But we're certainly looking outside of the IC and outside of crypto. We want just regular people to be on Nuance. And of course, we have identified some niches. So, for example, we've noticed we get a lot of sci-fi content on Nuance, sci-fi novelists, like really long form sci-fi kind of stuff. And of course, that makes sense because if you're a sci-fi writer and you're writing blockchain, it's unstoppable software. It's very much on brand for science fiction. So that's what I mean by we've kind of identified these niches which we'll go after. But now it's only since the SNS, because leading up to the SNS, we were like out of money, like totally out of money. So since the SNS, we have budget to ramp up our marketing and sales, and we're just planning that now, and we start to execute that in the next couple of weeks.
I agree 100% with what you're saying and with your approach. Like, people should not know that it is hosted on IC or on the blockchain or all this stuff, which is technical stuff. And I think that the average user really doesn't care where it is hosted. They care that it works. And, that's pretty much it. And if it has any extra perks, that's even better. Last week, we've seen on the internet computer, like in the ecosystem, there was a lot of people, there were a lot of people who were angry with another ICP dApp called Discover, that they started to market to a different blockchain, to Solana. And they were like, the community was angry that they are leaving the internet computer. But they're not. They everything is still hosted on the internet computer protocol, which I like to think of as an infrastructure layer. And they go and market to Solana, which is a way bigger like ecosystem in terms of users. So what do you think about Discover's approach? And are you thinking of doing the same thing?
So Discover, it's an amazing platform. I mean, it is. I think Discover and Origin and maybe District, they set the bar for the IC. In my experience, we've been with them the whole way, but we're a smaller player. So I think first of all, they're an amazing product. I met Rick actually at the Code and Estate event in Miami. And they're very capable people, it seems. Now, in regards to the Solana thing, I mean, for me, it's just about increasing your addressable market. I mean, so, and what do I think about that for Nuance? I mean, there's no technical reason, there's no functional reason why we would need to go to any other chain. So there's nothing we can't do on the IC. So there's no reason why we say, we have to go to Solana because we want to build this feature or we want to have this capability. That is not yet, we're not aware of anything like that. But it is just about increasing the addressable market. Like you say, like if there are a lot of people who are in the Solana ecosystem who obviously care about privacy and blockchain stuff, right? I think it makes sense to expand your addressable market. I'm not one of these. I'm not like an IC maxi or anything like that. Like, we're building on the IC because, well, as far as I'm aware, there's no other chain on which you could have built Nuance. That's why we're building on the IC. It's not because I love the IC.
But I think even an ICP maximalist should be cool with hundreds or thousands of companies coming and hosting their stuff on the internet computer protocol and then going and doing their own stuff somewhere else, because they're burning cycles and making ICP deflationary. So there is really, from my understanding, no reason to be upset that people are hosting here and are not just addressing to the people in our ecosystem?
What I think it does is it creates this us versus them thing. And if there is an us versus them thing, right, it is Web3 versus Web2, right? It's us versus Medium, right? Like you might be heard of Mirror.xyz, which is, which is a blockchain based kind of blocking platform. And it's on spread across a few chains. And I don't really consider that I don't look at that as a competitor so much. I'm like, yeah, they're one of us, right? They're helping people own the platform and content that they use. So if there is any us versus them, it's Web3 versus Web2, not like this part of Web3 versus that part of Web3. But yeah, I don't think like that actually.
I think we need a new word for Web3 because the Web3 term has been used wrong this far, because the companies, like many companies that claim to be Web3 are actually not Web3, and they're hosted on centralized servers, and you actually don't own any software or anything as a token holder. You just hold the token. So I think we need a new term.
Yeah, I agree. Any of these kinds of words are, ruined by marketing.
Yeah, maybe I think Dominic talks about it as Web 3.0, I think. So
yeah.
Either that or Web 4. Let's go back to the Nuance token. So when you guys did the SNS swap, people were able to grab some tokens. Do you have any tokenomics that we can have a look at? So how many tokens are there in total? What's the market cap? What's the price per token? And where can people buy those tokens if they want to have a part of Nuance?
There were 100 million tokens at the SNS, and 30 million of those we swapped for ICP. So effectively 30% of the tokens were distributed or swapped, so that the community could buy in or swap in. And at the time, well, I mean, I don't know. I'd be lying if I said I don't look at this stuff, because it's kind of fun to look at, but I don't take it very seriously, because there is a pool on IC swap, and that puts our token price at around I think 5 cents, and at the SNS it was 3 cents, so it's almost doubled since the SNS. That puts our market cap at 4.7 million for the tokens. But as I said, it's an extremely small pool, so I don't think that's actually representative.
About this small pool, so I'm looking right now on ICP coins, and there is not a lot of liquidity. Are you guys planning to add liquidity so that people can swap and buy?
Yeah, so we are, and we want to have an official pool, and of course we need to make a proposal, right? So the community have to agree with that. So of course we have this plan. So for the funds, for the ICP that we received as a part of the swap, we have a plan for that, right? We not a plan for every single feature, but the amount we were requesting, right? The amount we did the swap for, right? We wanted to have 18 years, I wish, 18 months to 2 years roadmap with our burn rate. So that's what we aimed for. Now, if we were to use some of those funds to add liquidity, right, of course that shortens that roadmap, right? So of course the community need to be okay with that. Say, okay, we might add a bunch of tokens for liquidity, but that is going to, proportionally reduce our roadmap for building features. So that's one of the first things we need to take into consideration. It's going to be a community decision, but the plan is that we will have an official pool and we will add liquidity. We have done our due diligence. Now there is an unofficial pool, as I said, on IC Swap, but we did our due diligence where we looked at a bunch of things, a bunch of criteria before we made our decision, and we have recently made the decision to use Sonic for our pool for a couple of main reasons. One, they're a DAO, right? So they're governed by a DAO, not individuals. It's open source. It's been properly audited because it's because it was an SNS DAO. I forget the fourth one, but they're the three main ones, right? It's governed by a DAO, it's open source, and it's had an audit. Oh, that's right. The fourth one was it has better developer documentation. So based on those points, we have decided to go with Sonic for our official pool, and we will make that proposal to our community in the next week or two.
That's great, because one of the problems that people have with internet computer tokens right now is that you cannot trade it. You cannot buy them. So if you want to buy them and you weren't present for the SNS, there is nowhere else you can buy it. I love that you guys are going to Sonic. I really love the Sonic like product and team, and yeah, I'll look forward to that. Do you guys plan to have the token listed on any exchange? That would fix some of the liquidity problems as well.
We don't have direct plans, but I have heard a rumor that Dfinity are working with I forget coin market cap, but something else. I forget the details now around basically having the things from Sonic or ICP Swap, which are listed on some of these other exchanges. But we're not making any direct plans. No.
Maybe right now it is not necessary because we're still at the early stages of the bull market. But when people will find out about Nuance, like in 12 months or 18 months, people will look to buy it. And I think it is important to keep that in mind. Let's do a quick summary. So 100 million tokens in total. 30 million circulating.
Yep.
Right? Okay, cool.
Correct.
And that is about 5 million, or no, I think $1.5 million in market cap at 5 cents.
Something like that. Yeah, for those in circulation, correct. Yeah.
Perfect. And in 2 weeks, people will be able to buy more tokens from the Sonic Decentralized Exchange.
Correct.
Which is pretty cool. What can people do with the token right now besides being able to participate in governance?
Right now, nothing.
Okay, and in the future,
frank, but they're the features we're building, right? So the features we're currently building is the tipping. So that allows people to tip. They'll be able to tip in CKBTC, ICP, NUA, and Ghost. So they'll be able to tip in any of those 4 tokens. And we'll also apply those currencies to our existing NFT article feature thing. So we have a feature at the moment where you can publish a premium article, we call it, and basically that's a paywall. That's an NFT gated paywall. So currently we have that feature, but it only accepts ICP, but we will expand that to be the other 3 currencies I just mentioned. So within a month or so, the Nuance token will be used for, as I said, you'll be able to use it for tipping and also purchasing the NFTs. The article NFTs.
Do you have any example of the earnings that some of the writers are getting from Nuance? Like, is there somebody who could, for example, do it as a part job and earn enough money to do it?
Well, we only have it's still in its, I would say, very much in its beta. So we only have two publishers who have the feature enabled, and they've set their prices very, very low. So there's no, I wouldn't say you're able to, earn a living on Nuance at the moment. And a couple of reasons for that is, well, I think one of the main reasons is, of course, is we need to get more readers, and that's a part of this growth thing that I mentioned before. And a huge aspect of that growth is SEO. So we've had an enormous amount of trouble with search engine optimization, and we've invested a lot in SEO to date, and of course, things are changing on the internet computer side as well. So we're adjusting to those changes. So things like the service worker changed and all these different things. So we've done a lot of work to try to improve our SEO. We haven't had too much traction, but there are also some changes that Dfinity has made, and they're rolling out in the next month that will help us there. So it's still extremely early days, but I would say to those potential writers, right now is the time to get in and start to build your followers and stuff like that. So when we do ramp up the SEO, etc., that you're going to be one of the early adopters who can start to get those readers who are following you, etc. So
the problem with the SEO is that we currently have the weird links when you go to an ICP website, right?
yeah, and there's that service worker thing which delays the first page load and stuff like this. So there's even though you can work around that, it's not completely like that. So yeah, we've had lots of issues that we've there are so many issues that we've come, like if I think about it, there's just like a blur of stuff we've had to fix, and we've done that, but we're still not getting the results we want on SEO. So, but as I said, there are some changes, some like big fundamental changes that the Dfinity are deploying, which will help us with that.
Okay. Once again, what are the things that you guys are working on right now, just to have them, like a summary? So what can people expect from Nuance?
Okay, so we want we're building commenting. So that basically is just like pretty standard. You have the article that you write. Underneath that you have commenting, so people can comment and reply to comments, etc., etc. And again, that is about allowing the writers to form that relationship with their readers. Back to that pillar. The second thing we're working on is we're making our applause feature, which is basically just like a clap feature you see on Medium, right? Where we're converting that into actual tipping. And then outside of those two new features, we have several flows which we built and shipped, which were MVP. So the UX was a bit clunky. So we have 3 flows which are also improving the UX on, and then the final thing is SEO. So to give you a very, very short summary, it's commenting, tipping, improving UX, and improving SEO.
With all the experience that you have now, like in Web3 as a founder of a successful Web3 project, what is one advice that you would give to other aspiring Web3 founders out there?
I would say learn about tokenomics, because because I've been building software for nearly 20 years, and I remember like 10 years ago or something, right? There was this new data science thing. Right? Up until that time, you always had engineers and you had designers, and with product management, you build software. And then data science came in. That's a whole new dimension to add to your software, right? Like, hey, we can create these algorithms, and how we do that is totally different. And then you build a data pipeline. It's a totally different dimension to building software. And tokenomics is the same. It really adds it's an entirely new dimension to building products and to building software. You have to take a whole bunch of new things into consideration. That it's not just a matter of it's not just the decision making, right? That as I mentioned before, I've been talking about. There's a whole aspect of incentivize, overcoming the cold start problem that you traditionally hear of, which is, okay, I can't get writers because I don't have readers, and I don't have readers because I have no content. Okay, cold start problem. How do you solve that in Web 2? You get a ton of venture capital money, and you pump, right? You pump the product. But in Web 3, the tokenomics can help overcome that cold start problem. By incentivizing other users with airdrops and earnings and all these kinds of things. So and I'm still learning, of course. So I would say my advice would be, really consider how tokenomics and tokenized governance impacts your product and your product roadmap.
Right. So basically, make sure you have enough, you raise enough money, or the project has enough money just to keep you guys going and to incentivize people to use the project and to see it, flourish.
Yeah, and how you can use tokenomics to overcome the cold start problem, and how you can get those first users and things like that. So and also there's also the hostile aspect of it, right? Like you have, okay, what if someone comes in and they make a proposal that is what you think is not best for the platform, right? You also have to be like, not defensive, right? But you have to be like, okay, we need to make sure that if anyone makes a proposal, that we're voting on that. Right? We cannot miss a vote, because if someone makes a proposal that says, okay, I don't know, I'm making it up here, but distribute all the funds from the treasury to this canister, right? And then we don't vote, right?
Yeah, of course.
You don't need to have absolute majority, right? You just need to have that thing, and then so it's also you don't need to be paranoid, but you need to be on your
You need
game.
to check it.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, you need to make sure like you cannot go on a vacation and not check
Yeah.
your phone for like 7 days.
No, there's just no
Yeah.
chance of that, right? And we discussed that internally. It's like, okay, who can vote and who has the tokens, for our company to vote, right? We need to make sure that if that person goes on vacation, right, that person, other people can vote, right? So that's, and in fact that, just to finish it, right, like we as Aiken, right, we're building Nuance, right, but of course we're also looking at other products. And one of the other products we're looking at the moment is what we're calling like the world's most secure password manager. And that part of that idea stemmed from us. We need a solution to be able to store certain information, right, that can be shared amongst the team, but it cannot be, cannot be stolen, right? And one of the solutions that we're going to build to overcome that is actually, we're thinking as a separate product we could use. So like LastPass kind of, or one of the other for passwords, but it's on chain and it enables users to store their passwords, etc., in a secure manner.
That's pretty cool because right now all my passwords are in Google. So all my passwords are in the Google password manager, which I agree is not a great thing. Nick, it's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much for taking your time and coming on the podcast. And I'm looking forward to see you again here maybe in 2 months, 3 months, when you guys finish the updates that you have now, and to see what you guys are doing at Nuance.
Great. We'd love to. I'd love to come back anytime. So thanks for having us, or having me.
I hope you learned a thing or two about Nuance and Nicholas. All the links will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.